Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today it is once again time to update the tier list. And we are going to have some changes here today. First off, before we get into any of that, I do have to explain what some of these icons mean. If this is your first time to this tier list, welcome, but you may be confused. So first off, this little rainbow icon that some characters have, this is the skill fusion icon. So this means that a character who may be older has received an upgrade to one of their existing skills. Either one skill or both skills. It doesn't really matter. As long as they have a skill fusion, they will have this icon. Sometimes it makes them worse, sometimes it makes them better, sometimes they just don't really change all that much. So you could see this Rimuru, I put him next to his normal side. But that's what the rainbow icon means. The elemental icon that some characters have means that they have received an EX upgrade. So older characters who are old, super old 5 stars are now EX Unbounds. Already EX characters also can receive the EX Unbound status. Not everyone gets them, but if a character does, they will have this new elemental icon next to them. So that's what those icons mean. Second off, there is no individual ranking in between each tier level itself. Like, Diablo is not better than all these other characters. They are all just triple S tier gods. So if you are like, oh man, I have this Diablo, but I have this Shinsha and she's worse than that, it's not a thing. If they're in the tier, they're in the tier, and that's it. There's no additional ranking criteria. So, with that said, let's go ahead and start off with the changes that I have made and I'm going to make. Alright, as you can see, I have made a new tier specifically for triple orb stealers, because at this point, and it's been recommended to me that I do this as well for a couple months now, and I'm just now getting to it, is that just being a triple orb stealer does not automatically make you good or great anymore, because you have to be doing something else at this point in the game in 2025. So we're going to make our own category for them, and if all you do is triple orb steal and you don't really do much outside of that for the team, then you are just going to get put here and you'll just sit there, because Hinata we don't use for anything really. Bride Chuna, the master hero, like, I used to use her for Tower and Valor Cup, but now I don't. And even then, it's like her AoE skill is very much a gimmick at this point. Skill Fuse Daggerel is just a triple orb steal. So if that's all you do and you have no other useful viability, you're going to go here. Now, we do have 3 characters, plus the new one, that are doing a bit more than what you would typically see out of an old triple orb stealer. And that is Freerun Raphael, Lumi, and Diablo. So we will re-rank them, because since they are doing more things, I do think they deserve to be higher than just this triple orb stealer tier. So, Freerun Raphael. Triple orb stealers converts to orange, protection gauge, attack buff, weakness strike debuff. I think she is pretty good. She's pretty amazing. So we're gonna move her, actually probably promote her a couple tiers, and into the SS tier. Lumi and Diablo, while they are triple orb stealers, they are just Big Mommy and Big Daddy damage characters. So you're going to move up 1 tier into damage only. So you're at least into the triple steal. You can also do millions upon billions of damage, but that's all you do. You don't provide support for other characters. You don't do anything except for yourself. So you can be used to triple orb steal in scenarios, but you're probably having a team built around you more than anything else to help you do more damage. So damage only, I think, is fair for them. And the other change I want to make is for Spirit Master Velzard. It's been a month and change, 2 months, and the Aegis buff, while being restricted for the past 2 months, is very powerful in the stages you can use it on. Combine that with the ability to enhance debuffs with the Frostbite skill, which does work alongside the control stacks from Violet, so you can double enhance debuffs, and then the stun is always a nice little stun. I believe she also gets upgraded to SS tier as well. So, maybe in another couple months, if they bring Aegis back, she'll move up into triple S tier. But I'm going to move her up into double S right now. But those are the changes. Mostly it's the triple orb steel tier because these characters are no longer good or great. They're old and irrelevant. And at this point, again, you have to do something more than triple orb stealing to be on a team in 2025. Alright, we're going to start off with the free-to-play characters. We got the free-to-play Alphen, and we got a skill fusion for Vengeance Yone. Now, Vengeance Yone, he got a little bit extra defense on his Vengeance skill itself. It doesn't really change him that much. The team is already defensive. Just because you have 50% defense instead of, 20? It doesn't change you drastically to upgrade yourself into the S tier now. So you're going to remain with your main counterpart. Alphen is a bit of an interesting scenario because he is our first free-to-play DPS character, like our truly dedicated one. Like, yeah, we had this Benimaru. Yeah, we've had, characters that we have attempted to use as DPS characters, Gazel, Misery, but no one who has, like, a higher level ult damage buff, a personal damage buff of any sort, one that affects the team. Is what we get for a lot of free-to-play characters, Gazel and Xion, wherever she is. But this is our first, like, truly dedicated DPS free-to-play character. And you know what? That makes him okay. Like, he is going to fall into that trap of DPS characters where you either need him or you don't. And most of the time, you're not. His orb change is a bit selfish because he's only converting his own orbs. The elemental ult swap ability is restricted to one element, and then his first skill is a gigantic 200% damage buff for himself. So he is not providing very much to other teams outside of his own meta, and that makes him okay. Like, he can put up good numbers for a free-to-play character, that's fantastic, but if I want to use him somewhere else, I don't really know if I'm going to, because he doesn't bring anything else to the table that X other team might actually need, except maybe some orange orbs, but we have ways around that. So he's okay for now. He can do good damage, but I'm never going to use him again, probably. Moving on to the protection characters, we have the new Collab Rimuru and Veldora, both cosplaying as main characters from a Tales of game. I don't know which ones, but they are. Veldora is very much like the collab Milim that we got, who's cosplaying as Aura, and as such, he's going to do almost the exact same thing. I think she's buffing 10% element damage, he's buffing 10% ult damage, and then they're giving extra skill cap increases, and oranges get extra skill points. They are essentially the same kit, just doing a different buff, so I don't foresee myself using Veldora unless I really, really have to for a free-to-play mission. Rimuru, on the other hand, orange stacking collab protector. We have one of those in Himmel, who is an orange stacking collab protector. However, the damage output from Rimuru is quite a bit higher, at the expense of usability and there's a word that I keep using, but I can't think of it right now. Consistency. It's very inconsistent to get hands of Rimurus, or protection gauge of Rimurus, because he's not guaranteeing you orange orbs. Himmel is doing most of your orb changing by himself, which is great for a stacking protector. Rimuru needs someone, and there are not too many orange teams. In fact, there are exactly 2 stacking orange teams. It's him and Himmel. So running this team this month has been a complete and utter shock to me, because it reminds me that, wow, yeah, stacking teams they're okay, but they really need something. And it's an unfortunate case where his team did not get a lot of orb changing. Alphen changes his own. The new Xion converts 2 future orbs. Hinata orb steals. But, we don't have, like, a Spirit Master Leon who's just changing 3 orbs to oranges. That would have really made a difference. So, while his damage output has a higher ceiling than Himmel, I just like running Himmel more because it's much fucking easier to do things with him and not have to worry. You can bring 5 damage support units and one of them being a nuker. Rimuru, you gotta bring like 2 or 3 people who are just dedicated to orange orbs and maybe a future hand, but that really locks you into only a certain team build. It's not really what I would consider great. So he's going to go into the A tier for decent, because it's just not very easy to use him. And there are not a lot of orange converting options that can really handle the job, unless you have wielder of magic Hinata or something like that. So, sorry, Rimuru, you're kind of a downgrade from Himmel. Alright, and now we move on to the bulk of the tier list upgrade. First off, we have the skill fusions and EX upgrades. Yom, I guess you got a little bit better with your skill fusion, but not, just like Mirren, it's not enough to warrant you jumping up multiple tiers. Ogre's Pride, Soe, and Shuna, they just simply got their EX Unbound status, so they don't actually change all that much. Soe's up there. And then where is Ogre's Pride? Shuna. Same tier, actually. Okay, so you're gonna both go up there. Nothing really changes. You get a little bit extra damage, and you get like the Unbound status on turn 6, 7, 8 or something. They're not skill fusions. It doesn't drastically change their kit, so they're going to remain next to their counterparts until they do get skill fusions. Now, Shizu, wielder of magic Shizu, second anniversary Shizu, did get a skill fusion and an EX upgrade, which makes her quite a bit better than what she was prior to. However, she is still quite an old character, and her uses are still slightly niche. So I'm going to put you as an upgrade into the C tier for limited or situational. Her initial unit is in D. And then I forget where I put her, so let me pause really fast. Okay, I had to remove her because I had to redo her icon. But she didn't really change all that much with her first skill fusion. Her second skill fusion really doesn't change her that much either, quite honestly. So you're going to kind of remain in the D tier. Like, yeah, you can use her, but she's not going to be anyone's first pick. Her skills are not impactful enough to warrant being on a team in 2025 and beyond. So, yeah, sorry, Shizu. Unfortunate, but reality. And now it's time to rank the 3 new summonable characters, Hinata, Xion, and Xion. So, holding true to our change in the first part of the video, triple orb stealing, and doing something else. Hinata certainly is triple orb stealing and doing something else, and it's a butt ton of damage, just like Lumi and Diablo. Therefore, I'm going to put her with Lumi and Diablo. They are all 3 gigantic major damage powerhouses, AoE, single target. Hinata is also doing the whole kind of I can't die gimmick, and I can't be debuffed gimmick, and her triple orb steal does convert to oranges, but that really doesn't help anyone out but her. The stacking dark attack is personal, the invincibility is personal, the Lord's ambition is personal. She's really the epitome of build me a team around me, and that's it, and I will help you do billions of damage. So, yeah, that's great. I'm not going to put her on every team just because she's a triple orb stealer. I'm going to build a team specifically to help her do billions of damage. So, B tier damage only for you. And now we have the 2 Xions. A tale of 2 different Xions. Because one is okay, and one is just kind of, what the fuck? So let's start with that one. The what the fuck Xion is Slime Xion. Her elemental gimmick is, true to her character that she's cosplaying, and that's fantastic. It doesn't translate that well into our game because it doesn't really provide that much of a purpose. Just because you're making some characters attack like a certain element doesn't automatically make them gods now. And her double orb future hand of oranges for 2 orbs, like, okay, cool, whatever. And then her actual big time buff, magic buff, is not something we haven't seen before. And the other part of her buff, you need to ult multiple times with the team to actually stack it up, which sometimes you're just not doing. So you're going to be like C tier. Your gimmick is stupid. Your buff is either underpowered or you must do a lot of things that might not be available in your fight to do so, unless you're running a specific orange team or a team that gives you a lot of frickin' alt gauge for multiple turns. Like, I just don't see myself ever using this Xion. So I don't think a lot of people are either. Unfortunate, but the reality of the game and team building right now. Which brings us to the Tales of Xion. And she, like most of the characters up here in this triple S tier, is one of those big time 100% damage and rate buffing characters. Diablo is synergy, and so is Sokka. The hero is crit. The hero is Pierce. We needed the crit character equivalent of that, and we did get it, and that's great and everything. The problem is that Diablo is doing the green buff and the multi-skill for 0 points. The hero is rewinding and alt-rushing you. Sokka is green buffing and the sword gimmick. What is this Xion doing? The resurrection skill, which, apart from very specific stages that play into it, you're never going to see. Why is that? Because the stages that don't play into it remove your status, or nerf or seal the body and spirit skill entirely, which means that apart from this beatdown and this Jubilee, you're probably never using that resurrection skill. Prosper Lumi has the same resurrection skill, and while she's not a damage buffer, she's an orb changer, and she is limited or situational, because unless you're in Valor Cup and you're sweating, you never use Prosper Lumi. And the same will hold true for Xion's second skill. And so while these characters' second skills are really good, her second skill is kind of ass. So I'm going to move you into the S tier, because your 110% crit damage is great when you need crit. But your second skill is useless. Your trait is awful. So you're not providing double or even triple benefits like these characters are. So I'm sorry, but you're not going to go any higher than this. Because if I need to use crit and I have a crit character, I'd rather just not use crit, and I'd bring some other damage buffer like Fern, who's doing like 4 things for me, where it's not crit at all, or Synergy or Pierce in case those are nerfed. Like, I could just bring Fern, and she will do way more damage support than this Xion is doing, and her trait is good, and both of her skills are usable. So, yeah. I'm sorry, but this collab as a whole was kind of a swing and a miss. The characters were a swing and a miss as far as kits. I'm just not very impressed with them. So no one gets to go higher than S tier this month. But let me know in the comments if you agree with these placements. Do you think I'm being a bit harsh on this Xion, and specifically this Xion? I want to know. I'm going to do a separate video covering why I think this collab is kind of a mess. But again, that's a separate video. So let me know your thoughts. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.